It goes on blue and then just magically turns green. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I thought it would be quite an interesting and fun idea to make my own acrylic paint. And I've never made paint before. I did test out this little kid's toy paint maker years ago and that wasn't very good. So hopefully this experience will just go a little bit better. Now I have done some research online and there are loads of different ways to make your own acrylic paint. And I feel like I've picked a method that is relatively easy and I also think it'll get pretty decent results. Okay, so my technique is to use various different mediums. So we have an acrylic primer and extender by Golden, a Liquitex iridescent medium, a Golden open acrylic medium in matte, and a Winsor & Newton artist acrylic gloss medium. So I feel like I'm going to get quite a lot of different textured paints. And then I've also got some powdered pigments. And I think that's the main principle of making your own acrylic paint. You need some sort of binder, acrylic binder. Obviously I'm not making that from scratch because I wouldn't know how and it wouldn't go well. And then you need pigment, whether it be powder or liquid. So I have this little pestle and mortar, and that's for crushing up the pigment, because obviously if I open this up, I don't know whether you'll be able to see in there, but sometimes you get quite chunky bits of pigment and you want it as fine as you possibly can get it, unless of course you want a gritty paint. So I just need to figure out what colour I want to make first. I'll show you what pigments I've got anyway. So I've got a green one there, which is quite nice. Obviously I've got a white, I've got a nice red colour there as well, a blue, a yellow, a black, which you definitely won't be able to see, and then this nice purple colour as well. And in theory really all you need is a white, a black, a blue, a yellow and a red, the primary colours, and then I think you can make any colour you want. I think that's how it works. I'm not sure though. Okay, I think I'm going to make an orange colour first. I'm just going to take a little bit of red pigment. I'll start off with a tiny bit and then some yellow as well. I just want to crush that down just to see what this is going to end up looking like. Oh, I think that's a nice orange colour. I don't think I need to do anything else. It's quite an earthy orange colour. I'm just going to decanter it into this jar. It's a little bit stuck to the pestle and mortar. I need something to scrape it off. Okay, I'm not sure whether that's going to be enough pigment in there. I think for this I want to go for an iridescent orange. Kind of like a 60s orange on acid. I feel like that's a good vibe. And obviously if I need to add more pigment, I can just add more pigment. I will say if you're going to make your own paint, it's probably best to, you know, measure things out properly. Because otherwise you're not going to be able to make the same paint again. Now, let's see if I'm going to need any more pigment in this. I think I'm definitely going to need more pigment. It's not looking particularly colourful. I should have really put the medium in first and then put the pigment in. It's all stuck to the bottom. I'm not going to use the pestle and mortar actually because I feel like it just sticks to the bottom of it. There is a special tool and it's this big glass thing that uses to crush pigments up. But I think it was about 30 quid and I wasn't spending 30 quid on it. So I went for this. It's alright, but I don't think it was the most practical decision I've ever made. And to be fair, these pigments are quite fine the way they are. It's getting there, but I'm quite shocked at how much pigment you need to add to get an actual payoff from it. It seems to have gone more pink, I don't know why. I think the iridescent medium was a little bit of a mistake because it's already coloured. I think it's coloured with white, whereas the other three mediums I've got, I don't think they're coloured at all. Let me just have a little swatch of this just to see what I'm working with so far. Where's that pigment coming from? Where did the yellow come from? This is making me upset. Like, it's quite nice what I've made. More of a mustard colour, but it's almost like the pigment's floating within the medium and it's not actually combining together. And I have a feeling that's because of something to do with the actual iridescent medium. I think I'm going to have better luck with the other two. But I'm just going to persevere, we're going to continue, see what happens. Might just need a bit more of a mix. Now let me just try that again, see if it's changed at all. Okay, it hasn't really changed. It's still a mustardy colour, but with a random surprise of very bright red and yellow pigments that haven't diluted within the medium, which is very unusual. I'm quite surprised. Let me just try and use the brush to mix it up a little bit. Obviously mixing paint in a jar as well isn't ideal. Let's just have a little try again, see if that's changed. It's exactly the same. Okay, I'm not sure whether I'm that sold on this paint. I don't think it's given me 60s on acid. I don't hate it, but it's just not what I wanted. I feel like the next lot of paints are going to be far better than what this has turned out. I'm blaming the medium. I'm not blaming myself. I'll be quite interested to see what it looks like when it's dry as well, because it's an iridescent medium, so hopefully it'll be nice and shiny. Anyway, I'm going to leave that one to one side and call that one a day. I don't know what to call this one. I feel like it's an orange, but a very unpredictable orange. I don't know. If you have any names and you have any suggestions for these paints, then let me know in the comments. I'll put that one to one side and we're going to move on to hopefully some more successful ones. Right, so I feel that first one was definitely a learning curve. So I think for this one, I'm going to make a nice teal, because I absolutely love the colour teal. The best colour ever. Well, one of the best colours ever, because to be fair, I like all colours. I'm going to go for the golden open acrylic medium in matte. See what this one will be like. And I'm going to pour this one in first as well, because I think that's a mistake I made last time. Yeah, I don't feel this is coloured. I could be wrong though. We'll soon find out. So a teal is like a bluey green. Well, I might use that green and this blue. This blue's really bright. Like it looks electric. Bit in here. Oh, put too much in again. We'll see what that looks like and then see if we need to add anything else. I can already tell it's very blue. I feel like I need to grind the pigments up, you know. I think the pigments are a little bit too thick. These are for acrylic paints, aren't they? It said it was for acrylic paint. I'm sure it is. You can also use these pigments just on their own. You can just use it with a bit of water. It's just a regular powdered pigment. Okay, so that's just looking blue. Try and add a bit of yellow, see if that spices things up a little bit. That didn't do anything. I'm gonna add way more green, like loads. See if that changes things. I think because that blue is just so overpowering, all of the colours just struggle to compete with it. It is looking like a nice blue though, but it's not teal. I'm going to add another helping of yellow. Okay, I'm going to swatch that just to see what it looks like. I have a feeling when I added the blue in to begin with, I just added way too much and I've struggled to kind of combat it and change the blue. But you never know, it might look a little bit different on paper. Where the hell's that yellow come from? I feel like I've made magic paint, like it's blue in the pot and green on paper. What have I done? The medium I've used, it's like really sticky. More of a kind of pond green. But like, how does that happen? That's the colour, that's exactly the same paint. I don't think I'm going to do anything more to that. I actually quite like the fact that it's magic. It goes on blue and then just magically turns green. Okay, well, I'll leave that to one side and we'll see what it looks like when it's dry. I feel like I've learned another lesson after that attempt, and I think I am gonna need the pestle and mortar. I think I need to grind the pigments up way finer and kind of mix them in together into this and then add them into the medium. So I'm up to my third paint and I feel like I'm starting to figure it out. Okay, so third time's the charm. I'm gonna master this, I really am. So I think I want to make like a nice either kind of hot pink or like a deep rich purple. So I've got this purple here and I'm going to start with that. I want a lot. Good start. And then I think I want a little bit of red. And I think I'm going to go for a little bit of white as well. This might turn it a little bit pastel-y. Do I mind? I don't think I mind. Oh, bollocks. That was far too much. I didn't mean to put that much white in. Grind this up, see what this is looking like. Okay, that doesn't actually look too bad. I feel like it needs a little bit more red and a little bit more purple. I'm tempted to add a little bit of blue, but that blue's really overpowering. Yeah, I feel like this is a better technique because all the colours actually combine with one another, and then you don't have like just random floating bits of pigment that surprises you when you swatch it on the paper. Okay, I think that's a nice colour. It's like a dusty purple. I feel like I need a little bit more red. I'll just use it all. That's that done. Will this work? I have no idea. I'm going to make this one a gloss. So we're going to go for the Winsor & Newton one. Ooh. Oh, I'm not a huge fan of this medium. It's very gel-like. I feel better about this. I really do. This medium's awful. This is going to be a very gel-like paint. Because I had a little look on YouTube as well, and I couldn't find many people who had made their own acrylic paint from scratch. Everyone seemed to make their own watercolour paint, and I have a feeling I know why people don't make their own acrylic paint. Because it's harder than I thought it was going to be. I feel a bit more confident with the colour of this one, but I don't feel confident with the texture. I feel like I can only have one or the other, I can't have both. Alright, let me swatch it on paper, see what it looks like. Are you actually going to be pink or purple, or are you just going to magically transform into black? Ugh. I way prefer the colour, but the texture of that is hideous. It is so transparent. You won't be able to see on camera. It looks quite nice on camera, but in person, it's the most transparent paint I've ever had my hands on. Oh, another layer. It's alright. That's actually not too bad. I think that's the closest I've got to making an actual paint, or a successful paint. The colour's definitely the same as what it is in the pot on paper, and there's no like random chunks of pigment floating around in there. The only issue is that you do need a lot of it, and maybe it's like a couple of extra coats to get a decent payoff. Definitely not the best acrylic paint I've ever used in my life. Okay, I feel like that's the closest I've been to making my own acrylic paint. I've got one more acrylic paint to make, and hopefully this next one will be the best acrylic paint I've ever had my hands on, and just work perfectly fine and have no issues. That's how it works. That's how the world works. Okay, so I thought for this final paint, I'll make a nice baby blue, since that blue teal colour that I tried to make was just this weird magic paint. And I think baby blue will be a very easy colour to make. It's just blue and white. I just need to be careful with this blue because it's very overpowering. So the same process again. I do still have the black pigment that I'm not going to be using because I just don't trust myself with it. I know if I mix black into any coloured paint, I'll end up with a black paint. Okay, that's gone quite like a nice colour. I feel like I need more pigment though. Maybe it's a tiny bit more blue and then a little bit more white. Okay, I think that'll... Bollocks, that nearly went everywhere. That was such a save. Well, kind of a save. I don't know why I'm so clumsy for. Okay, I think I'm really happy with that colour. A very baby blue, exactly what I wanted, surprisingly enough. And we're gonna go for the Golden GAC 100 Acrylic Primer and Extender. Oh, it's very runny, oh my god. I wasn't expecting it to be so liquidy. Maybe I'm making a pouring acrylic paint this time. Let's see what this is gonna end up being like. Oh, it's looking awful. This is looking really bad. It's hard to even show you, but it's like liquid with just chunks. Okay, well, we're gonna swatch this one. I know for a fact it's gonna be the worst one. Yep. Oh, actually, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as it looks in the pot. It's just incredibly sheer and transparent. It's actually a really nice colour, but I would say it's more of an acrylic wash than a paint you could actually do anything with. I don't think it's as much of a disaster as I thought it was going to be, but it's not great. Now the thing is, the camera hides a multitude of sins, because if you were looking at this paint in person, you would just see all the brush strokes and just basically the entire bit of paper behind the paint because it is that sheer. So I thought the fourth one was going to be the best one. Is it the worst one? I don't know, I think the Magic Blue was probably the worst paint, but it's a close second. So here are my 4 finished DIY acrylic paints that I've made. Very custom, very unusual, very different, not very practical. And I think the purple one is actually the best one, using the Winsor & Newton Gloss Medium. However, I think I could have got the other 2 paints beforehand to work just as good if I'd done the grinding technique. I think that's definitely something you need to do. The acrylic primer and extender, which is literally like water, I don't think that's best for what I was doing. Also, I think if you were to make your own acrylic paint, a liquid pigment might be easier to manage than a powdered pigment. But it was a learning experience. It was definitely a learning experience. I kind of just thought that making acrylic paint would be far easier than it is. Turns out it's quite difficult. also, if you have any suggestions for names for my acrylic paint, then let me know in the comments. And also let me know if you've ever made acrylic paint before, and whether you had more success than I did. But hopefully you did enjoy today's video, even though it didn't particularly go to plan. I wouldn't care, I spent a fortune on all these materials. Cost me quite a bit. I think in future I'll just buy my acrylic paint. I don't think I'll even attempt to make it. But if you did enjoy today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you next week for hopefully a far more successful video. Bye!